All right, let's cut right to the chase here. Our pal is Evan Cohen, ESPN Radio Unsportsmanlike every morning, 6:10 a.m. Eastern Time with Chris Canty and Michelle Smallman. So I get tipped off this morning that I better be watching Unsportsmanlike. Last segment of the show, I put it on my television here, ESPNU, ESPN2, ESPN8. I don't know which channel, but I found it. There's so many channels. I found the show, and what do I know? Evan Cohen is saying that I am a thief, all right, that I have stolen someone else's food. So let me add a little bit of context here, because it seems like, I feel like you think that my doorbell rang yesterday, there was a delivery guy, I opened the door, I took food, I signed for it, and said thank you very much. Yes. I feel like that's what you think took place yesterday.
That is exactly what I think. Based on your tweet, that is exactly what I think, that you stole someone else's Chinese food. Yes, you're a thief.
Okay, that would make me a thief, and it would make me an insane person and really, really dishonest. That is not what happened. What happened was I was upstairs in the ZASLOW Mansion Network studios. I'm doing work. I get a notification on my Ring camera on my phone. I click on it. Buddy's at my door trying to deliver me food. I'm like, I didn't order any food. I'm working right now. Go the fuck away. And so, I didn't do anything. I just stayed and I continued to work. An hour later, I go downstairs. There's Chinese food sitting on my porch. So I opened my door. I brought it inside. What? Evan, it's a sin to throw away food. Are you a sinner? It's a sin.
Wait, this just now took an amazing twist. So and people can get it on the podcast, on the ESPN app, wherever you get your podcast. It was from 9:45 to 10 a.m. Eastern today. And we sat here and we debated your move yesterday, right? And what's interesting is you're agreeing with me based on my assumption of what I thought you did. But Canty and Smalls agreed with the opposite of what you and I just said.
Right.
So
That's
you're
right.
disagreeing with them, agreeing with you?
Yeah, you and I are now on the same page, matter of fact.
This is a fascinating twist on this.
Yeah, the person who takes the food from the delivery guy and signs someone else's name, you and I do not like that person. Michelle and Cece think that guy is okay. You and I, we are not on the same page as the two of them, and that is not what happened at my house yesterday.
Cece had one of the funniest lines I've ever heard in my entire life. He's like, you know what the real move is? You take the food and you complain that it's not good enough, and you try to get the refund while keeping the food with the food that you didn't actually get. Cece was so brilliant on that. I mean, he's always brilliant, but extra brilliant on that side of it. So you actually just made it weirder. So there's just food on your doorstep, and you decided to eat it?
Yeah, it was probably sitting there for an hour, you know.
But you're not worried that, hey, this is poisoned or something?
Poisoned? It's a real food delivery. The bag was the brown bag was stapled. No one's tampered with the food. I opened.
Well, you don't know no one's tampered with the food. You don't know who made it and who delivered it.
Well, isn't that every single food delivery in our life?
No, because if you call and you order Chinese food or pizza, whatever it is, you know what place you're calling.
Okay, but I have
what place was this from? Do you know? Without naming names, I'm not giving free pops on the ZASLOW Show 2.0.
I don't.
You don't even know that.
I don't. Honest to God, I swear to God, I looked at the receipt and it was all in Chinese. And I don't know if you're aware, I don't speak nor read Chinese.
Oh, is that right? I wasn't aware of that.
So I had no idea. That's how I knew it was Chinese food, because it was their language on the receipt. And then I opened it up and I was like, oh, this looks wonderful. I called my wife. I told her what happened. I said, is this our food now? And she said, of course it's our food now. That's dinner tonight. I said, I agree.
But that doesn't even mean it was a restaurant. It could have been somebody down the street. They just moved in, and this is like we're the new kids in town.
No. It was a real receipt. It was itemized, I assume, in Chinese, and it had a price on it. It was a receipt.
What was the meal? Do you remember the order?
Oh, it was awesome. It had everything in it. You know, it had the chicken, it had the red pork, beef, and shrimp, and all the noodles and vegetables. Great meal.
Wait, what time of day was this as?
Early afternoon. If somebody ordered lunch.
Oh, so it was your lunch. So did your wife eat it as well?
Dinner. It was my dinner, but it was going to be somebody's lunch.
Did you give it to your wife and kids too?
Just me and my wife. It was so much that me and my wife split it last night. I finished it off for lunch today.
So if you're guessing, how much money and for how many people do you think that order was for?
That was a family order. It said on it family something. That was a family order, Evan. That was a family dish.
So at least 4.
Yeah, probably.
So that's at least 80.
I don't remember what the price was, but in the bag it had all the fortune cookies. It had the sauces. It came with the fixins.
So just to understand and put this all in full perspective. I assumed on the air today, based on your tweet, that a guy knocks on your door and you just take the order, and to which I thought that was a horrible job by you. Ironically, you thought that would have been a horrible job by you.
Yeah.
And CC and Small said, no, that's a great job by Zaz. CC said you would then complain if you're really doing it right, but that's not what happened. The guy left it and left it there for an hour, and then you picked it up. So it must have been like an Uber Eats or something like that.
Yeah. And someone said, so you and I are on the same page. It turns out Cece and Michelle are kind of on the dishonest side. And someone even tweeted me, like, because I said, like, hey, is this my food now? I wanted to get an opinion. And pretty much everyone said, yes, it is definitely my food. One person wrote back, you should first go check with the neighbors. And I said, no. You know why? Because I'm not a delivery person. This is now my food. So that was the only pushback I got yesterday.
That is, I don't know that you can do better than that. I know you've had a lot of amazing experiences in your career. That one tweet and that experience, like, okay, behind the scenes for a second. Did you know the moment you picked it up and started eating that this is one of the great radio podcast topics of all time? Like, did you know in the moment?
I knew it was going to be good, but you got to remember, like, I ate dinner several hours after I sent out the tweet. So once I put the tweet out there, I was like, oh, yeah, this is definitely going to lead off my show, ZASLOW Show 2.0 tomorrow morning. Now, did I expect it to get in the hands of you guys on Unsportsmanlike? No. But, once I put the tweet, I was like, yeah, this is right up my alley.
It's so good.
But it's a true story. Everything I just said is no embellishing, 1,000% true.
Now I just want to order food to your house and see what you'll do with it.
It's a test. Everything is a test now. What am I going to do with this food? It was a great meal. Great meal.
Wait, okay, final question.
Yeah.
Let's say I gave you unlimited budget, right, for this meal. Do you think this anonymous orderer ordered better than you would have?
I wouldn't even have thought of this meal. Normally, when I order Chinese food, I'm doing like chicken broccoli and then all the extra stuff. This had everything. It had the chicken, the pork, the beef, and the shrimp. I'm forking around in there. I think I even found a scallop. It had everything.
This is one of the great orders of all time.
It was.
It's brilliant. You're brilliant.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I wish I could call the Chinese place if it's the same place. I don't know which place it was, but I wish I could call and be like, hey, remember the wrong order? I want that again.
Wait, that's another amazing angle. Because you found a restaurant that you really like, but you don't know what restaurant it is.
That's right. You know what'll be interesting, though? The next time this person, I'm just thinking of this now. The next time this person orders.
If it comes to your house.
Well, because I wonder if they have the wrong address saved in the system. So he's going to order again, and the food's going to once again come to me.
Wow. Or do they never order again? But yours is more interesting. That they may now have.
Because when you call the place, they see your phone number on the ID, 100%. And they have your info saved.
That's right.
I mean, I may hit the Chinese jackpot here, Evan.
That was well done.
Hey, how did you take the end of the Heat game the other night?
Not great. Gotta be honest, not great.
I'll let you say what you're going to say. I wasn't mad, and I actually applauded. I had people around me, and I applauded in front of them my own behavior. Because I told them, I'm not even mad. Look, it's a very mature response from me. I'm not even mad. And the reason I wasn't mad was because I was embarrassed for Coach Spo. And so it took away any way that I was going to be mad about this loss, because I was embarrassed for him, and I didn't like that he was being embarrassed in front of everybody.
I think that's a great way of saying it. I think it is. Listen, we're talking about a man that has been the Miami Heat head coach for 17 years. And I said this on our show on Sportsmanlike the other day. I cannot remember a game where a gaffe cost them the game. I can remember games. I don't mean every specific, but I'm sure there were times where you and I would be texting, or Sedano or JMP or any of the people that I normally communicate with about the Heat. where we'd be like, I can't believe they played this lineup, or I can't believe this guy played more minutes than that guy, right?
Yeah.
Sure, that happens. But we're like, wait, Spo didn't know the rule, or Spo didn't know this guy wasn't playing. Like, I remember I think it was the final game Jason Kidd ever coached for the Milwaukee Bucks against the Heat. I remember watching that game and contacting people afterwards that I know around the NBA, like, I don't think Jason Kidd knows that Wayne Ellington shoots threes. Like, we're like, literally, I'm like, I don't think no, I'm serious. It's the most random memory, but like, I just remember, I've never felt that way about Eric Spoelstra, ever.
Right.
So he may be the ultimate deserves a pass guy in the history of sports. I cannot crush him for that. See, to me, if you're going to actually analyze that game properly, the crushing in him is, Spo, you're unbelievable for after timeout plays on offense. Thus, the same should be said about defense. How the hell does Jalen Duren go backdoor there in that spot? It was an awful loss. I know a lot of people are looking at this and saying, this is it. This is kind of like the pinpoint of the end of the Jimmy Butler era. I don't agree with that at all, but it was hard to watch. I think your thing is awesome, what you just said. It's like you felt for Spo that he had to be embarrassed, because if anyone doesn't deserve it, he doesn't deserve that.
Yeah, his reputation and the way he was in a very negative spotlight in that moment was so much more important to me than me being angry about losing on a Tuesday night to the stupid Pistons.
Yeah, you're 1,000% right. I don't like when people take shots at him. I don't like when people take shots at Riley. Like, I just don't like it, because it's like, hey, let's swoop in and swoop out, where you and I are watching 82 games a year on this stuff, regular season, and we see all the little intricacies of every one of these games, where you're like, how the hell did he just go on an 11-game winning streak? Or how did he go, what was it, 30 and 11,
yeah,
with a Carl White starting at power forward?
Right.
No, I'm like, how? With like, oh, Luke, you got Babbitt and White. You know, in that spot, you should go 30 and 11. Right? I mean, come on. We've seen that more than we've seen the timeout with no timeouts left.
But here's why I do think there is something to the idea where that, like, he was uncharacteristically shook in that moment, and it's why he forgot about the timeouts and he ran on the floor like he does. And I almost feel like there's
inbound when they didn't have the ball.
Right. It was a total brain fart. And I almost think that, like, there's something else there. Like, I think it may have reached a boiling point even in the early part of the season. But here's the thing. They're not going to do anything, because can you imagine? Like, we're finally nearing a place where the franchise has hoped to get to, which is the possibility of Giannis becoming available. Like, can you imagine the Heat make an early season move and then Giannis does become available after the season? It's like, we already made our move, and now he's not available.
I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see him become. I could be wrong. We could be playing this back's ass. I don't see it happening, that he's going to be readily available. If he is,
I don't see it either, but we're as close as we've ever been to that chance.
I don't think so. Because they're going to go, look at their schedule. They're going to end up with a winning record very quickly. They're going to be, Chris Middleton's going to come. I'm telling, it's my belief. I think they're going to be fine. I think if you want to take the Dame spin, that's a different story. Because I think the Dame spin is an interesting one. I'm nervous to even do this because of how much I love this guy, but I'd like to present one other thing to you, if I may.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Canty said it to me the other day. He goes, don't you think it's time to kind of, like, not in a bad way, celebrate the Jimmy Butler era and move on to the next era of the Miami Heat? I said, I don't, but I understand if they would try to do that. But here's the problem with this whole thing. Someone has to take it. When is Bam going to take it? When is Bam going to say, Tyler's trying to take it more than Bam's trying to take it? Like, it's got to be on both sides of the floor. Bam is an elite, dominant defensive player. Bam is a very good offensive player. I need to know in that spot late in that game against the Pistons, Bam says, give me the ball. I'm going to handle all of this. There's nothing I can't do. And maybe the wear and tear from the Olympics. I don't know.
Are you about to trade Bam?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
What I'm saying is now, I guess maybe it's statement/question. I, from my perspective, don't feel like I could trade Jimmy or move on from Jimmy until Bam's ready to take it. The counter would be Bam's never going to be ready to take it if Jimmy's there. And I understand that part of it too. I still want to see what it looks like with all of them healthy, and maybe it won't be. I just want to see what it looks like because I think, and I've been saying from before the season, I think the high-end talent on this team, the floor, is greater than it's been in years around Jimmy.
I think the main problem is Jimmy and Bam play a slow type of game, while Rozier and Hero play very, very fast, which does not equate to a ton of wins in the regular season anymore. But it is conducive to winning in the postseason. The only problem is, you're the 8th seed, so you're facing the number 1 seed right out the gates in the playoffs.
So what would you do?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to believe. I feel like the Lillard stuff is still on the table, but if Milwaukee calls Miami about Lillard, I think the Heat are going to say, "Yeah, we want the other guy." So right. In that sense, I don't think that they're going to try and get Lillard again.
Let's play this out. Okay. John Horst, Milwaukee Bucks GM, calls Andy Ellisberg, Pat Riley, says, we'd like to talk to you about Dame. We know he wants to go there, and we need to replenish our depth a little bit. We need some younger backcourt players and some wings. So can we talk about Jaquez? Can we talk about Hero? Can we talk about those guys in a Dame trade? They say, no, we want to talk about Giannis. No, we're not going to talk about Giannis because what they're going to try first is to provide Giannis with depth and youth before they give up.
As long as Giannis agrees with that.
Well, he's not. I don't believe he would ask out in season if he's going to ask out at all.
I don't either.
Right. So the first thing that they would do is cover their ass a little bit. So let's try the depth and youth combo with Giannis. Maybe. And then if that doesn't work, you're trading Giannis for depth and youth anyway, and you've already started the process. That's how I would do it if I'm them, if I'm forced into doing it, right? So would you trade, theoretically, the numbers don't work, but would you trade a package of Jaquez and Hero for Dame?
But then also, like, the Heat want Giannis at some point, but by trading this younger package to Milwaukee, they're going to, and maybe it works for Milwaukee, and then Milwaukee decides, yeah, we like this, Giannis is happy, and now it's the Heat's own fault that Giannis is not available.
Okay, so let's play out your scenario, which is all the eggs in the Giannis basket, okay?
Which is kind of their history. That's kind of the way they go about things, right?
Yeah. So do you believe that Giannis and Bam are a good fit?
I think you get the huge player and you figure it out.
Oh, I'm not doubting that. So they get Giannis after the season, which would just play out a couple things here. They get Giannis after the season. This season is what it always is. It's an 8th seed, and it's either a run to the finals or losing in the first round. No in between, of course. And you're giving up everybody to get Giannis at that point. So that's Ware, Jovic, Jaquez, Pelle Larsson. Because I'll tell you one thing. If I'm trading with the Heat and I'm giving you a star, that Pelle Larsson's coming with.
He's a good player.
He makes about $10 an hour. He needs other people Chinese food delivered to his house at this point in his career,
That's
right?
He
needs 3 meals. He's a really promising player on a cheap number, right? So I'm getting everyone. And then I need a salary to match in there. So at that point, Hero Hero's not even a throw-in. And he's from Wisconsin, so it's an easier sell in that regard, right? So I got Bam, and I got Giannis. Am I re-signing Jimmy?
I think you'll want to.
Do you?
I think you want. Yeah, I think you want to. It's also, hey, who's going to be your shooting? Robinson's contract's up after this year, right?
No, next year.
Oh, he's got one more?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, well, you still got a shooter there. And do we still have Rozier? Did you throw Rozier in there?
He's in after next year, too.
All right. Yeah, of course you try and keep Jimmy.
I just don't see it for some reason.
Oh, I don't either. But it feels like we're closer to Giannis becoming available than we ever have. And that's what I think the Heat are going to be holding out for.
Okay, so let's just take one other step back. So we're talking about Pelle Larsson, Jaime, Jovic, Ware. Am I missing anybody on a young deal, like a rookie scale deal?
Okay. Those are them.
Okay, so those are your young players. Those are 4 young players. The question then becomes, at what point do the Heat want to just play those young players and go the exact opposite way? Instead of going in for the star, if you're going to hover around the 8th seed, at what point are they going to say, you know what, like, what does this look like? Because then you're making the decision where you cannot play Ware, Bam, and Jovic together, I don't believe. unless you're making Bam a small forward, which is actually defensively not crazy at all.
I like Jovic coming off the bench, which he has the last couple of games. Okay. I think that's Heisman's got to start on this current team.
So then in a hypothetical, we're going young. The Heat are going young, I mean. Ware starts for you. Bam starts for you. Triple J starts for you. And Pella feels like he could come off the bench in a Manu old school pre-Heat Goran sort of way.
I mean, the reality is they should be going young because, like I said, the regular season in this league it's athletic young teams. You know, the Heat style works in the playoffs. They should be playing all of these young guys in the regular season. Like guys like Kevin Love should be playing. And, you know, nothing against Kevin Love, but guys like Love should be playing.
I love Kevin Love. It's hard for me to say.
I do too.
He is such a wonderful guy from what it's, I don't know, but I mean, you know, it seems like such a wonderful guy and he still has something left. And I even play out in my head. I'm like, God, if they do fall out of it, if you're a contending team, if you're Oklahoma City right now, oh my God, they would kill for Kevin Love on that team. A big that could just be a great guy.
You don't think someone like New York would love Kevin Love right now since they don't have Hardenstein anymore?
Not give him there. You don't.
Well, I understand.
Right.
I understand, but there's teams that want Kevin Love.
Zaz, in the course of the last 5 minutes, we have taken this Heat team on two massive different directions than they're currently on. We've gone the all-in for Giannis or Dame, and we've gone the all-young. The reality is they're in between. And the question now becomes, if they are all healthy, I thought they were going to have a great regular season. I thought they were going to shock people. I said to you and others, I thought they were going to flip the normal script. Great regular season, bad postseason this year. Now it seems like neither of I don't know. What are they at this point? You tell me. What are they?
We're only 10 games in. I don't know though. I don't know. But we're only 10 games in.
You have hope?
I have no idea.
Do you have hope?
Yeah, I have hope. Yeah, I have hope.
Hope for?
I have hope that Jimmy is going to return soon and that we're going to be able to see this group together. And Kelly Ware looks like he's becoming part of the rotation. Yep. So I want to see more of that. Hawkes has been back for a couple of games now. I have hope. Yeah, I have hope.
Hope to be what?
Hope to be a top 6 team in the East.
Yeah, I'm still there.
And the East stinks, by the way, so they can absolutely do that.
Yeah, they're getting very lucky right now in terms of when they're bad, so is everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at some point, they got to stop being bad and beat the teams that are banked, like Indiana on Friday. Like, you got to beat that team. Let me ask you one other thing.
NBA Cup game, Evan. NBA Cup.
Means more.
Deal.
Let me ask you this, because you asked me, is Bam untouchable for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Is Jimmy untouchable for you?
No.
Okay. Is Jaime untouchable for you?
No, I think the only untouchable on the team is Bam.
Larson may be that.
I like him too.
He doesn't make a lot, that's for sure, and that's pretty good. I don't know how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling, I guess, my level of confusion and gray area is exactly where the team plays. That's where my mind is right now with them.
Maybe we find out a little more about them over the next couple of games after what took place on Tuesday night. You know, maybe we see what they're about.
I know you got to go. 2 questions very quickly for you. Mr. South Florida, Jonathan Zaslow. Mr. College football now. Very big all over the country.
Everybody knows that.
The soft comments about the Dolphins. I like Mike McDaniel as a coach. I think he took a major hit this year when Tua wasn't there. I've totally done a 180. Tua is way more important to this team than McDaniel is, which I'm shocked by. I've said it once. I'll say it again. McDaniel end result is the same as Brian Flores, just presented differently in terms of pat on the back versus stab in the front. Is there any truth in your mind to the Dolphins are not tough?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think part of the Deshaun Elliott not tough comments go toward something that I've been talking about during their skid without Tua is this is a team now. I think there's a chance for it to get better. Just like, you know, quarterbacks enter the league, we give them leeway. Why can't quarterbacks improve? Year 2, year 3, year 4. I feel like we don't do that enough with head coaches. Head coaches can obviously improve, but I feel like we don't afford them that opportunity. So I certainly think there is a lot of chances for Mike McDaniel to become a better head coach. But the Deshaun Elliott salt comments come on the heels of something I've been talking about recently, which is one of my biggest problems with Mike McDaniel is I don't believe he holds anyone accountable. And I think that's part of also being a soft team where guys would continue making the same mistakes, either penalties or fumbles or wrong routes or whatever it is. and McDaniel doesn't do anything about it. Well, we've started seeing him actually do something about it recently. 2 games ago, Julian Hill, he stinks. He was inactive. Last week, coming after the fumble 2 weeks ago, Raheem Mostert, 0 carries. Okay, let's start holding some guys accountable. And guess what? The last 2 weeks, the Dolphins had a total of 3 penalties combined in the last 2 weeks. So I'm hoping that is signaling a bit of a change. Maybe we're holding people accountable now if we're Mike McDaniel. But I absolutely think that's part of what Deshaun Elliott is talking about there. This has been a very soft team.
Yeah, I think it's funny because you and I both love the Heat. I know you don't like Belichick, Patriots, etc. To me, the Heat and the Patriots are the same. And what you're suggesting is for the Dolphins to be more like the Belichick Patriots, which Belichick would hold guys accountable, not in a showy look at me sort of way, in exactly the way that you just said. Mostert gets 0 carries. It's like, hey, you were bad in practice. Like, you're not going to be a part of this week. I'm not going to announce it. I'm not going to have this big. No, it's just like, this is going to be the game plan, and you're not going to be included in it. The next thing I have for you, Deion, more likely to be in the NFL next year or FSU next year?
NFL. Yeah, NFL. I don't think Mike Norvell's going anywhere. They owe him a ton of money if they wind up getting rid of him. And it just kind of seems like FSU can always be there for Deion. And with his kid leaving and going to the pros, it kind of feels like if the time for Deion to go to the NFL would be now if he's going to do it. And it also feels like, the door is wide open in Dallas, for next season if he wants to go there. So I think it's more likely he goes to the NFL than FSU.
All right, that was it. Those are my 2 follow-up questions on that.
Are you going to follow up with your partners tomorrow about the Chinese food?
I think I may try to get that in the rundown tomorrow. I think we may have to do the same time tomorrow because I think that's a good place to follow up on it.
All right. Excellent job. Listen to Evan every morning, 6:10 a.m. Eastern, ESPN Radio Unsportsmanlike. Good job, Evan.
Thank you, Zaz.